In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a RAID array, and I have here already one set up with 2 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 2 terabytes. So running in RAID10, that gives me a total storage capacity of 4 terabytes. And so now we are going to upgrade using 2 more 2 terabyte drives, and those will slot in right here. Now, coming out of my motherboard, which is the Taichi Ultimate from ASRock, there are 6 serial ATA ports. 4 of them are in use right now here, and then the RM750X power supply from Corsair supplies 3 powers per cable, so I have a free spot in the middle, which is perfect because I have 2 racks open, one in between of both of these sets, and so those will fit nicely into the last 2 ports that are available for RAID, because there's 6 ports that you can use on this motherboard. Okay, I've just pulled out the middle shelf here as well as the bottom disk, which will bring about my extra power connection here. Actually, I probably have to pull out the top drive instead. So now I have an additional power connector right here, which is in the middle of my 3 coming from 1 cord. And as well, I have another SATA cable, which I'll plug in to the motherboard. Usually doesn't take that long. And then, one thing I just want to point out, so I've already slotted one of the new drives into the shelf so that it can slide in. One thing I noticed recently is, let's see if I can get this in focus. It doesn't look like I can do it. Okay, well, all I wanted to say was that right here on the front of the hard drives, you can see the last 4 digits of the serial number. And that becomes really important later, because when you have a disk failure, you're going to want to know which drive you need to swap out for a new drive to rebuild. And you're not going to remember which one it is. So if you just look at the first 4 of your serial in your failure notification, then you will be able to pull the right disk and swap it out. Okay, now I'm holding 2 disks in this one hand, the ones that are connected. I pulled my SATA right through the bottom end, and I'm going to connect my 3rd disk in between the other 2 disks so that it'll fit nicely on the shelf. So, all that's required here now is the power supply, which is right here. I'll connect that first, followed by the data connection, which should actually click in nicely. I'll make sure all of them are on tight, and now it's just a matter of slotting all of these in a tidy way so that no cables come undone. Okay, finally I was able to get all the cables connected, and I kind of had to keep them close in a stack like a sandwich, and now we should be able to get them in there. 1, 2. Okay, I was finally able to get all 6 drives in there, slotted in. The cables were a mess behind, so you may want to do a better job of cable management, but I was able to jam them all in there. They're all nicely separated and secure, and that is 6 2 terabyte drives, so that's 12 terabytes, and I'll be using it in RAID10 mirrored for extra performance, and so that will come out to an effective total storage of 6 terabytes. Okay, now I am in the BIOS setup. If you want to know how to get here, I already explained it in my other video that shows all the problems with the AMD software. But once you get into the BIOS, and you can delete your entire, so you see at the top, number 1, I had the RAID array, and now I'm expanding it by another bit. So I'm going to delete everything. Okay, so what I did was I went into delete array, I selected all 3 in the top corner there on the left, and I did that by using the insert key. All the keys are listed down here, and then they are all deleted now, so you can see all 6 of my disks have now appeared on the right side, and I'm going to create an array. Or maybe I should initialize disks. I'll say all, A is all. I'm going to initialize all those. It says I will delete everything. Initializing disk 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's rescanning. Okay, I guess we're all set now. So I'm going to create an array, and I'm going to use all of the disks. So I say A, enter for done, and I'm going to select RAID10 because, as we already mentioned, that will give me a mirror and better performance, but only half the space. And so this is kind of funny, they're just notifying you that 2 terabyte would be the limit, but since we're using Windows 10, or really any recent Windows, you can have a disk drive that is greater than 2 terabytes. So you can use page up and down to increase the size, so I will, it warns you, are you sure you want to change the size limit? And you say, allow larger arrays, escape. So page up, and we're increasing it all the way up to 6 terabytes, and it won't go any further, it stops you there. And so the DOS size is 5.4, but it's exactly 6 essentially. Okay, enter for complete. And now this is an important choice. Read and write caching, it says at the top, some data may be lost in a crash, so that's really important. You'll get lower performance with read caching, but it works just fine, and if your power goes out, you're not going to lose anything. So I think that that's really important because we're going to get good performance anyway, so this is what you want to choose. Confirm creation, C to confirm, and now it's going to do it. Done. That fast. So now we can just reset the computer, and we should be good to go. I will say continue to boot. And if you're wondering how to enable that menu, I covered that in my other video. You have to go into the BIOS, change to RAID, and then you also have to be on a certain settings for your CPU, otherwise you can't get in there. And that's it. Alright, so let's go in. Alright. I'll wait for the RAID to appear here. Okay, here it is. It's the little green icon. I explained in my other video how to install RAIDXpert2, and I made my password admin. Oops. Admin. That's the default. Okay, now you can see the disks here, and as I already mentioned in my other video, it knows that 2 of these are new, and so it goes to create. And so this takes many hours. You might as well just go to bed. But when you wake up, or you can even start using it in the meantime, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to let it create, and then when it's ready it'll be done, and you have a 6 terabyte drive that is completely risk-free. And if you fail in one drive, as long as it's in the same silo, not in the same silo as a double failure, then you'll be fine. You just swap out according to the serial number, and then it'll go back into Windows and start rebuilding instead of creating. And that will also take about a day. But these days I'm buying used hard drives and they're $40 for 2 terabytes, so this is the best way to go. Thanks.